I'm a cool kid. You're a cool kid. We are cool kids. Are you a cool kid? Every day I want it. I need to drink lots of it. Full of fruit, vitamin C. Give me lots of it. My imagination is growing and so am I. I'm getting big. So baby fruit of cool kids. It's so juicy. So I could touch the sky.
Become a cool kid now by visiting www.fruiticoolkids.com.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys and welcome to C Results. I'm Miss Nyla and you are joining me today for ELA and creative writing. I must say welcome to all of our viewers, whether you are joining us on the IBN channel TV8 or on our C Results page, right, that is on Facebook, or the IBN TV8 page on Facebook as well. So as you know, for ELA, we are currently looking at section 2 and we just started graphic representation. Yesterday, we had a chance to probably complete 3 graphic representations, and today we'll be completing the rest of that, right? So we're going to try to finish as much graphic as we can so we can move on to our next task in this section 2 paper. As you know, time is drawing very close for SEA and we have no time to spare, right? So let's get going on that graphic. So yesterday we were left to look at, actually we just have, all right, so we're left, just give me 1 second here. We completed quite a number of them, and I'm just going to go back to where we stopped yesterday. All right, so we're just going to start with this one today. Okay, so we are on graphic representation and we have this one in front of us, right? What we are doing, we are taking the approach where you look at the graphic and then we read the questions and understand what the questions are asking us. So let's look at the graphic closely. Now this is a fine print. It's a lot of information. Of course, we are going to zoom in on it, but I want you to pay close attention to all the details given, just as I have been saying. From the time that we have started this graphic section, right? So it says Lookout Hill, right? So that's the title there. So probably the name of a place, right? It's up to you what you think when it comes to mind when you read that title. Of course, as you read further into the flyer, poster, advertisement, you are going to get all the details necessary, all right? So let's see here. We have Lookout Hill, a hike full of adventures. We can probably zoom into that a little bit again, and as we go down, we can zoom as well, right? A hike full of adventures. So it's a hike, right? Something about a hike. Here, we have, to the very center of the flyer or the poster here, we have some names, all right? So we have Frog Creek, we have Picnic Area, Old Rock Fort, Lookout Hill Station, bird sanctuary, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different adventures that we are seeing here that we can probably come across, right? And as we go into it a little more, we're going to understand it better. Now, to your right here, there's a box, right? Dotted lines, right? Where it says choose your route or route, however you wish to pronounce that as well, right? But before we get to that, let's read a little bit about what's on the left here, right? Or my left, right? You are in charge. So here they're giving you some additional information. You are in charge. Hiking is fun and good exercise. Keep physically fit. See interesting things. A little lower, we will see explore Lookout Hill. The map and map key for Lookout Hill show how you can choose a day hike that you would like best and the kinds of things you can see and do. And if we just go across a little bit here, right, we're coming across the map key, right? You should have some previous knowledge about the map key from your social studies lesson. I'm going to come to that shortly, right? Here we have the name of the route. So we have route name, route, time, level, and description. So for example, on the route name, they gave you bird walk, right? Bird walk. So the bird walk, the route is along this solid black line. So if you want to follow it on your map here, right, you go up to the map, you look for that solid line, and you know that is the route for your bird walk, right? So that is how you are reading the key here, right? So you're looking at the map key, looking for what they are giving you, the information they are giving you here, right? The bird walk will take a total of 2 hours, right? The level, easy, and also there is wheelchair access. I hope you can see this is slightly blurred, but please pay attention if you can't properly, right? Descriptions. Loop around the bird sanctuary, right? So it's showing you a loop here. There's actually an arrow pointing which direction you should start. Also be mindful of that. We will go to the second route. We have Lookout Station hike. And as you saw before, the Lookout Station was in your map. The Lookout Station is along your white line. So the white lines here on your map, right? Now there are 2 different sizes of the white lines. The map key here is showing you that the Lookout Station is a smaller rectangular lines, right? As opposed to the Frog Creek Trail where you have a larger rectangle and then a smaller rectangle and then a large rectangle again, right? So we're looking at the Lookout Station hike where we're looking at the small common shape or the same pattern rectangles, right? So look at that, and if you look on the map itself, here you have that small rectangular pattern going to the Lookout Station. So you have to follow that route, right, with the pattern given to find the Lookout Station. That time, or the time taken to reach at the Lookout Station will be 2 or 2.5 hours. So that is 2 to 2.5 hours, right, each day. And then the level is hard. So this is going to be a hard, or not hard, let me not tell you difficult, but a hard hike, right? I'm using the exact words that they have provided for us. Description. Climb Lookout Hill and see the view. So they're telling you what you can do when you go to the Lookout Hill. Moving on to the next route here, we have Frog Creek Trail. And we said that this trail, right, there was a larger rectangle, a smaller rectangle, a large rectangle, a small and a large rectangle again. And if you want to find that, right, yes, you can be able to pinpoint it here, but you have to find the route, right? So your route actually is taking you here, right? So we have that pattern with the large rectangle, the small rectangle, and the large rectangle, right? You have to move on the outside here to get to Frog Creek. It will take you 3 hours. The level is medium, and the hike to Frog Creek, you can have a picnic there, right? So if you go to Frog Creek, you can have a picnic with your friends, your family, or whoever you take on this hike. And lastly, the last route here, Lookout Hill Circle, right? So here, if you look at the pattern that they are showing you, we have, again, solid black, but notice there's a white line to the center separating those rectangles. So you have a large rectangle and we have a small rectangle, or a smaller square actually. It's a rectangle and a square, right? So we have to look for that. to find the Lookout Hill circle, right? So ensure that you follow the line, right? Follow the line, and you will be able to find that Lookout Hill circle. Now, why are they saying Lookout Hill circle? And if you are not seeing it as an entire circle, you have to use your understanding a little bit of the map here, right? To help you understand what they are saying, right? It goes round, right? There are several things that you can point out or stops that you can make, right? The time it will take you to explore this entire thing, right, might be about 5 hours. It's also medium in level, and hike round or hike around Lookout Hill to Old Rock Fort, right? The description is, sorry, that you will end up at Old Rock Fort. So you are following that line, and you will arrive at Old Rock Fort, right? So I'm going to go back to choose your route here, right? They're just telling you whichever route you would like to take according to the map key. That's up to you, and of course, it's according to your destination. Now, this poster here has a lot of information to offer. It's going to take you a couple minutes, well, as opposed to some of the graphics that we came across yesterday, right? That you read it, it's pretty straightforward. This one, a little more intense, more details, finer print, lots more information given, right? Let's go back to it because we are not finished examining this graphic. So here, right, also pay attention to this. This is where your start routes, right? Your start routes here. So you're going to start your journey along or following the arrows, whether you're going right or you are going left on your destination. Now, to the side here, you will notice direction is given. They're telling you where north is, right? So once you know where north is, you can figure out the rest of your directions or your cardinal points there. And to the very top, going back to the top here, where we have Lookout Hill, right? The name of the place, which tells us the hike full of adventures, and we did see the different adventures that they can bring across. I'm going to touch on that again, right? There are some illustrations here. There's a butterfly, right? What appears to be a telescope, and maybe a sun, right? So from those illustrations there, what can you deduce? What is it telling you? And if you're looking at the illustrations on the map itself of the bird sanctuary, you are seeing birds, right? Or ducks here, right? Here we are seeing a tree, so it probably has a forested area here or lots of trees. On the lookout station, you are seeing a lookout station itself, right? And the Old Rock Fort is just as a fort would be, right? And if you have ever visited the forts in Trinidad, you may have an idea about what a fort or what you can see from a fort or what it is all about. And to the side here of Frog Rock, or Frog Creek rather, right? They are telling you from the description in the map key that you can have a picnic in this area. So going back to the heading where it says a hike full of adventures, there are quite a number of different adventures that you can take if you visit Lookout Hill, right? I just want to go back to the side here a bit before I go into the questions. Here, the additional information given to you. Why do you think this information is given to you, right? You must think about that, and you must also read the print at the bottom here that says Explore Lookout Hill. After all, it is a hike, and you are going to explore different adventures when you come across this map. So great. I hope you have a fair understanding of this graphic, right? So let's look at the questions, right, and try to answer them as best as we can. So remember, the lines are open. When you call us, just help us answer the question the best that you can. So number 39 says, from the flyer, identify 2 benefits of hiking, right? So let's break down this question a bit. From the flyer, so which means that your answer is coming from the flyer, right? Information is given to you there, right? You have to identify 2 benefits of hiking. I do have a caller to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, what's your name?
Jacob.
Hi, Jacob, welcome. So from the flyer, identify 2 benefits of hiking.
Okay.
So we're just going to zoom into this once more.
Okay.
right? Are you able to see the text?
It's kind of blurry.
Okay, so I'm going to read them. Okay, well, if I read them, actually, I'm going to give you the answer. But take a second, try to see if you can figure it out. If not, I'm going to help you.
I see it.
So
Two
which,
benefits.
right.
One benefit is it is fun,
right,
and the other one it is good exercise.
very good, right? So you are correct, and thanks for calling, right? So your benefits come from the poster or flyer itself, and it is written clearly for you, right? So from the flyer, identify 2 benefits of hiking. 2 benefits can be you can see interesting things, and it helps to keep you fit, right? So here, hiking is fun, so it's a fun experience. You could have put that. It's good exercise, or it keeps you physically fit, or you could even say, see interesting things, right? So either 2 of those answers are correct, or any 2 rather, out of the 4 given there. We had number 40. Name 2 attractions at Lookout Hill, right? First, you must be able to understand what are attractions and what are they asking you here. So name 2 attractions at Lookout Hill. Remember, Lookout Hill is a place full of adventures, right? And from these adventures here, there are a couple attractions that you will be able to visit. That's the entire purpose of going to this place, right? To witness or to view, take part in certain attractions. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to hold on for a caller, right? I want someone to help me answer this. Your question once again. Name 2 attractions at Lookout Hill. So you're looking here. We're probably going to zoom into this a bit. Right to the center there. Your answer can come from the map itself, or it can come from the map key. And I'm going to allow this caller to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Good evening.
Hi, welcome. What's your name?
Christopher Khan.
Hi, Christopher. Welcome. So I want you to name 2 attractions at Lookout Hill.
Okay.
First of all, what do they mean by attractions? What are they asking you for?
They're asking for something that can attract people.
Very good, right? So things that you will see or enjoy when you visit this place. So what are 2 things that you can possibly be attracted to here?
The Old Black Fort.
Right, so Old Rock Fort and?
Lookout Hill. I'm not sure what the other way is.
Station, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks for calling, and you are correct. Right, so here we have a number of attractions. We have the Frog Creek, right? And the picnic area can also be an attraction, which is a part of the Frog Creek. We have the Old Rock Fort, we have the Lookout Station, you have the Bird Sanctuary, right? So all of those answers would have been correct as well, right? And number 41, give 2 reasons for including the map key on the flyer, right? And I do have a caller to help me.
Try your call again.
Hi, good evening and welcome to See Results. Okay, I think I lost that call there. But going back to this question here, where we have to give 2 reasons for including the map key on the flyer. So I just want to tell you all, you will notice here, and in your ELA paper, science and social studies is integrated, right? So this is the purpose, or one of the purposes of doing science and social studies while you are in Standard 5, right? Some of you might think it's hectic, right? But this is one of the purposes here. And I'm going to come back to that point after I take this call. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Nicholas. Welcome.
Okay. Yes, it's Nicholas. I am okay.
Okay.
For number 41, right?
Yes.
Give 2 reasons for including your map key to
Right.
make the reader, give the reader better understanding.
Yes.
That's 1. And 2, you can go up to the graphic, please.
Sure. We're just going to zoom up there to the map key, to the right.
Just and give them a guideline to find things easier.
Very good, right? So it helps them understand. Thanks, Nicholas, for calling.
Okay.
Right, so he said it helps you to understand what this place is all about, right? I'm assuming that's what he means. And it gives you a guideline. Now, the guidelines here can extend a bit. Gives you a guideline as to where routes are, time of the the attractions, how long it will take to get there, the level of difficulty, and the description. So all of those answers are answers you could have choose from for your answer here, right? I said for navigation of the routes, so it helps you to find your way, right, along the lookout, and also to give an idea about the time taken to get to any of the attractions. So it tells you about time, route, description, and level of difficulty, right? So all those are answers that you could have put for number 41, right? Number 42, identify 2 reasons why a person may want to visit Lookout Hill. And I do have a call. I'm going to take this call to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Good evening.
Hi, what's your name?
Cara.
Nice to have you with us. So identify 2 reasons why a person may want to visit Lookout Hill.
2 reasons why people like to visit Lookout Hill is to see the attractions from high up.
Right.
And
can we just zoom in a little bit there on the Lookout Hill, the map itself?
yes,
Right. So to see views from high up, and which one of those attractions will you be able to see or get the best view from?
the Lookout Tower.
Right, very good. And what's another
And
reason?
then to have a picnic.
Very good. Right, so you are correct, and thanks for calling. Right?
You're welcome.
Great. So 2 correct answers. Another 2 to explore the bird sanctuary, right? To view the scenes rather from the lookout station. Right? If you are high up in the tower, just as our caller just said, you will be able to have the best view possible. Right? Maybe an overview of everything that there is to offer at the Lookout Hill. So there are quite a number of options and correct answers that you could have chosen from actually for number 42. Right? It's important how you word your answer and that you explain yourself. I'm just going to go back to the point where I was telling you about social studies and science, right? Those 2 subjects are integrated in your ELA paper, just as we are seeing here. Maps is actually a great part of social studies, right? And you would have had some previous knowledge about elements on a map, right? Some of the things that are required on a map and what some of these things do. Most importantly, for example, a map key, right? You know from previous lessons and so on why you need a map key, right? Or why you need directions on a map or all of those things. So applying that knowledge, right, and combining it with what the questions are asking you here, you are able, right, or better able to answer these questions. So it is important that they do all of these subjects at the standard 4 and 5 level. And as I was saying, you know, some parents and students might think it's a bit frustrating, but it is indeed worthwhile, right? For instance, if you had no previous knowledge of maps, you saw something like this, it may be a little difficult for you to interpret at the first glance, right? So if it's your first time seeing a map and you get a graphic like this, what are you going to do, right? So be mindful of all of those things, right, guys? And parents, more specifically. Number 43 here. This flyer includes several features. Which feature on the flyer appeals to you the most? Give a reason for your choice. Again, this flyer includes several features, right? So those are the things that I was talking about, features. And when I talk about features, I'm not going to give away that. I'm probably going to let the caller explain that to me, right, before I tell you a bit more. Which feature on the flyer appeals to you the most, right? Give a reason for your choice, right? And this question, again, is worth 2 marks. So I'm going to put the graphic here. Look at the graphic carefully. Think about the question. We are focusing on features. We have a couple features here. So tell me, which one do you think is most important? Now, any of your answers given could potentially be correct, right? What is a little more important is how you give your reasoning, right? The justification for your answer, right? So if you choose the map itself, tell me why is the map important. If you're choosing the map key, tell me that, right? If you're choosing this direction here, your compass, tell me why that is important to you, right? So I don't seem to have a call on the line, right? So I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. And actually, I do have a call, right? So good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Welcome. What's your name?
Tony Garros too.
Nice to have you.
I think me bird sanctuary.
Okay, so the question says, this flyer includes several features, right? Which feature on the flyer appeals to you the most? So if, okay.
Huh?
All right, so what are some features on a map usually? Usually on a map, what are some of the things that you will see?
The track.
Right. So you might see a legend or a key. You might see, right, or a map key, or you might see a compass. All of those things are what we call features of a map. Right? Now, in this case here, they are telling you, just as in any map, that they will have attractions throughout the map. Right? Now, I'm not saying that the answer that you are given is incorrect, but when they're talking about features, they're more specifically referring to the features of a map. Now, as long as you give me that answer, you just said bird sanctuary, right? Now, tell me, why do you think the bird sanctuary is the most important feature?
Because you can learn about the birds.
Right, but why is that more important than probably the lookout station?
Because you could learn more about it. You can learn the different types of birds.
All right, okay. No problem with that, right? So, thanks for calling, and I do appreciate your answer, right? But I want you all to pay attention to this, right? And I'm going to give it a second to see if I have a second call to help me with this question. As I was explaining, when we're talking about features, we are mainly focusing on things that will help us to understand the map, right? And I do have a caller here to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
It's Jenna Williams again.
Nice to have you again with us. So the question was, this flyer includes several features. Which feature on the flyer appeals to you the most? So answer the first part. Which feature on the map or flyer, appeals to you the most?
Exciting news for you.
Sure. What is that exciting news?
I did 90 out of 90 in a math test today.
Excellent job. Congratulations to you. How do you feel about that?
Proud and important.
Great. So do you usually watch mathematics with Sir Ijaz?
Yes.
Right. So he's also going to be really happy for you, okay? So we really appreciate the good news and keep up the excellent work, right? Now we want that same score a little higher in ELA and creative writing, right? So let's try for that. Yeah? All right. So do you want to go back to the question?
Go back to the graph, please.
Sorry?
Go back to the graph.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sure.
Right. So which feature do you think is most important here?
The feature on the graph itself, I think, is most important is the map because it shows you everywhere around where you're supposed to go.
Yes, I will take that answer, right? You are correct.
And I even have some more exciting news.
Okay, that's lovely. Share it with us.
We were in the middle of creating a language test, and I have all correct so far.
That's really, really great. Okay, so keep up the good work. What's your name again?
Gemma Williams.
Okay, so great. So we are looking out for some more good news every day when you call us, right?
Okay.
Okay, great work. Okay, so we have a really happy caller there. We are also happy to share in your good news, right? So that's what we want from all of our callers. We want improvement, and we want you to do your best at school, of course, and share your good news with us and all of our friends right here on See Results. After all, that is what we are all about, seeing results, right, guys? Okay, so let's go back here. Now, that answer that the caller gave was also correct. Now, the features here, right, that they are talking about, right, it shows all of these things given on the flyer. Now, it's not just limited to what I'm telling you about features of a map, right? Now, they gave you specific things to look at, so it will be considered also features in your flyer or off your flyer. Now, she said, the caller said here that the feature that was most important was the map, right? Because it shows you everything that Lookout Hill has to offer. So I will accept that answer, right? So you can also say the feature that appeals to me the most is the map key. Now, why does the map key appeal to you the most? Now, if you give me an answer such as that, you need to explain it to me so I can understand what you are thinking, right? So I chose the map key because it gives you an overview of the attractions, the time, the routes, the levels, and the descriptions necessary for the hike. So in other words here, they're giving you all the information, or the map key is helping them to understand all the information needed for the hike. So again, guys, whatever answer you choose, make sure that you justify it, right? So that brings us to the end of this graphic, right? We are going to move on to another one. However, let me just take a quick water break, right? Don't go anywhere. We are going to be back in a few seconds.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta, enjoy the real Fruta, refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Miss Nyla, and we are on to section 2 in your ELA paper, and we are looking at graphic representations, right? So we just completed the first graphic for today, and now we are moving on to the second graphic, right? So this here is your graphic. At first glance, what is your first impression, right? What are you thinking here? Before you started reading, before you looked at the font, any of those things, right, when you just looked at the graphic, right, what did you think about? Now, I want you to be mindful of that first impression, and there's a reason I'm saying that, and I'll get to that shortly, right? So let's just read this and try to understand the information here. You are invited to an engagement party for Rihanna and Lenny on Friday, 25th July 2020. Blackberry Lane, Karapichaima, contact info, rialen@gmail.com, and you have Ria here, and you have a contact number, 672-1234, right? So this flyer here, or invitation, or poster, whichever that you would like to call it, or refer to it as, I want you to look at something. When you just look at the poster, you may probably thought that, you know, it's a bit boring, right? So I'm wondering how many of you thought that it was boring. Now, if that was your first impression, that's great, because that's an observation. Now, when you make that observation, it's not because the person who made this flyer here doesn't know how to create a graphic. They want you to think that, right? They want you to have that first impression. Now remember, as I always say, all the details presented on the graphic is telling you something. Do not take it for granted, right? So just as you saw this graphic here looking plain and simple, there's a reason for that. Maybe there's a question that's going to come on that, right? So don't take that for granted. Be mindful of all the details that they are giving. So we're just going to zoom in here a bit. We're going to go to this picture. Let's look at this closely. Now let's look at the font, right? What do you notice about the font of this invitation here, right? So is the font fancy, right? Is it simple? Is it telling you something? What about the colors given here, right? It's black and white. Is that appealing to you? Think about that. What about the line spacing? Is it sufficient? Do you think that the font is too small or the text or the spacing is too large, right? What about the border, right? So right around your invitation here or your flyer, right? What do you think about the border of this? Now, if you see such a flyer, what are you thinking, right? Will you be willing to accept this invitation? Now, I'm saying invitation because it says you are invited to an engagement party, so it's an invitation. So that should also pop in your mind when you start reading this, that it is an invitation, but to what, right? To an engagement party. For whom? Rihanna and Lenny. When? We have a date here, we have an we have contact information, which we have an email address, and we have a telephone number, right? So this flyer looks simple, looks easy enough, right? No complications there. You don't have to think too much about it. So the lines are going to be open once more. We want you to call us and give us your input on these questions. That first question there, what is the purpose of the invitation shown? Right, so similar to the ones that we did yesterday, same pattern or same start, right? That type of questions, the purpose or the reason for this invitation. So I'm going to go to the invitation here, all right? Think about it. You still have to think about your response. Make sure you give us in a complete sentence, that you do answer in a complete sentence, in fact, right? And you give the information that the question is asking you for, most importantly. I have a call to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Welcome. What's your name?
David.
Nice to have you with us. So the question was, what is the purpose of the invitation shown? What will you say is the purpose of the invitation shown?
I think the purpose of the invitation is to let the person know that they are invited to the engagement party.
Very good, right? So your answer is simple and correct. So thanks for calling. Right, so that is exactly what they wanted. That's what they want you to say, right? So let the purpose of the invitation is to invite persons, and we know the persons given, the names were on the invitation. You can mention that if you wish. If not, you can say invite persons to an engagement party. If you want to be a little more specific, it's SEA, and you really want to ensure that you get that 2 marks, you can write those names, right? So straight to the point, quick and easy. Number 40. What is the date of the event? And let's see if this caller can help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Welcome. What's your name?
And the date of the event is Friday, the 25th.
Right, so Friday, 25th.
2020.
July, right?
Yeah, July.
Okay, so
2020.
That's correct. So thanks for calling.
Thank you, miss.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. So date here, it is presented to you on the invitation. So it's just for you to locate that and to put the correct or reflect the correct information. So the date of the event is Friday, 25th July, 2020. All right, next question. Amy is not sure about the dress code of the event. What do you think is the best thing for her to do? Now, nowhere in the flyer did they mention anything about Amy, right? But they are just using a random name here, right? So they're giving you a scenario now, right? So it's critical thinking. So Amy is not sure about the dress code of the event. What do you think is the best thing for her to do? So this invitation here is probably telling us that it went to a person named Amy, right? Now, she doesn't know about the dress code. Let's see if this caller can tell us what Amy should do. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening. Welcome to See Results.
Hi, this is Dominique Kublau.
Hi, Dominique. So what do you think Amy should do?
I think Amy should use the email address.
You think that Amy should use the email address? Any other ways that she could probably find out something?
Or she could use the phone number.
To do what?
To call them and ask.
Who will she be calling?
Ria.
Ria or Lenny, right? Or Ria and Lenny, right? So I will accept that answer. That's correct. But make sure you put all the information. It's not that she's leaving out information, but this information or answer here requires that you tell us that Amy can contact Rihanna and Lenny, right, via the email given or the contact number to ask about the dress code of the engagement party. So I think that Amy should call or email Rihanna and Lenny for more details, right? As such, she wants to find out what's the dress code. She can ask them what is the dress code for the engagement party. Next question. What do you think is an important piece of information that should have been added to the invitation? Again, what do you think is an important piece of information that should have been added to the invitation? Let's see if this caller can help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. What's your name?
Lionel.
Hi, Lionel. So what is an important piece of information here that you think should have been added to this invitation?
An important information that should be added should be more information about where the place is.
Why? But they tell us it's Blackberry Lane, Karapi, Chima. What do you want to know? What about the address? What do you want to know?
About the
House number?
Yes.
All right, okay, that's fine. Anything else that you think that should have been added there?
House number? No.
All right. No problem, Lionel. Thanks for calling.
Yo.
So that's a good point. He pointed out probably a house number, but I'm looking for something else, right? So let's see if another caller can help us. Good evening and welcome to See Results. Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, caller. What's your name?
Julia Benjamin.
Nice to have you with us. So let me just go back to the question for you. What do you think is an important piece of information that should have been added to the invitation?
I think an important piece of information that should have been added is the time of the engagement party.
That's correct, right? And that is the answer that I was looking for. Thanks for calling. Right, so Lionel, that's the answer that we were looking for. They left out time. Notice nowhere in this invitation here, they gave us a time of the engagement. So do we go 6 o'clock in the morning or do we go 6 o'clock in the afternoon? Right, so time is really important. So maybe if you said house number, you maybe would have gotten that correct, right? I would give you it correct, but if more importantly or specifically what they are looking for is the time. Right, so an important piece of information that should have been added to the invitation is the time of the event, right? That's really important in any flyer or poster, right? So let's go to the last question of this graphic. The invitation shown was designed at a printing company. Not many cards like this one shown have been bought by customers. Provide a suggestion to the company to improve sales of the invitation card. I'm going to read that again and internalize what this question is saying here, right? Or the information given. The invitation shown was designed as a printing company. Not many cards like this one shown have been bought by customers. Provide a suggestion to the company to improve sales of the invitation card. And I do have a caller here to help me. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Adam.
Okay, I lost that, but I have another caller. Good evening and welcome to See Results. I lost both calls, right? So I'm going to give it another minute there, right? And I'm going to wait for a call. I do have a call. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
It's Drama Williams again.
Yes. Welcome back. So what do you think is the answer here? Do you agree with the first part where they said the invitation or they are telling you that not many cards have been bought by customers. Do you agree, or can you see why they are saying that?
I think no, because wait. It's asking how many cards like this one shown have been bought by customers.
Right, so not many cards like this one. So the card here, so this card or invitation here, they are telling you that not many of them were sold, right? Not many people bought them. They're asking you, they are telling you that. So they're giving you that information, right? Now I'm asking you, do you think that, can you see or understand why they are saying that? That not many cards like this were sold?
Because there are, either because nobody wanted to come to their wedding or because they're missing a lot of information in the poster.
Can you say the last part again?
Either or they're missing a piece of information in the poster.
All right, not quite. That's not the answer I'm looking for. Let's go back to the question here, right? So they are rather giving you some information in number 43. They're giving you a piece of information and they are then telling you to do something, right? So let's look at the information that they are giving you, right? They are telling you the invitation shown was designed at a printing company. So Rihanna and Lenny did not come up with this design for the invitation, right? A printing company did that. What Rihanna and Lenny did was bought the card from the printing company, right? Then they're telling you not many cards like this one, the one that we just saw, right, shown, have been bought by customers. So in other words, not a lot of people are buying that design of cards, right? So it's not really popular, it's not selling, right? So they're telling you to provide a suggestion to the company to improve sales of the invitation card. But before you provide that suggestion, I am asking you, do you understand why they said that not many cards like this one here is being sold?
Yes.
Okay, why?
I think either because they need to improve the design, or they didn't put enough language inside of it.
Can you repeat that answer a little slower, please?
I think the reason is they didn't add enough detail to the poster,
right?
Or because they're missing some language in the poster.
All right, okay. I'm going to explain it to you off here, but thank you so much for calling and trying with this question, right? And I want you to pay attention to this one here. Okay, so I'm probably going to give one other person a chance to call me and take a shot at number 43. And I have a caller. Good evening and welcome to See Results.
Hi, this is Dominique Oblal.
Hi, Dominique. So number 43 here, did you read this question?
Yes.
Okay. So the first part of it here, I'm asking you, do you understand why they're saying that not many cars like this one are being bought?
Yes.
Okay, why is that?
They're saying that because not many people wanted to buy it because of how it looks.
Of how it looks, the physical appearance of the card. Now, according to you, when you look at this card, why is it not appealing to you?
It's not appealing because it's colorless and it doesn't attract the reader's attention.
Right. Okay. So I will take that. Right. So, and the second part here, provide a suggestion to the company to improve sales of the invitation card. What will you suggest to this printing company? What can they do better?
They can put more graphics and color.
Okay, right, so we will accept that answer and you will get your 2 marks. Thanks for calling, Dominique. Okay, so I'm not going to take any more calls right now. I really want to explain this, right? So the first part here, right, they're giving you a piece of information. Now, what they want you to do with this piece of information here, when they tell you not many cars like this one have been bought by customers, they want you to think, now, will you buy this card? Right? Ask yourself that question. Looking at this card here, will you buy it? Forget the information written inside. Right? Look at the border here. Right? Look at the card, the white parts of it itself. Right? Is it appealing to you? Now go to the font. Right? If the printing company did such a design and they wrote the entire card in black and used this font, right? Will you purchase this card? Maybe not, right? So you think that it's boring, it doesn't have enough color, probably the font isn't appealing to you. They could have added some graphics there, right? So that's what they want you to do. They want you to think about it like that, right? Is it appealing to you, and will you buy it? And if not, well, they're actually telling you that it's not being sold. So they're telling you part of the answer. So you now have to take that information and use it to provide a suggestion to the company to improve sales. So if you have a card like this and you want to improve the sales, what are some of the things that you can do to make it better, right? You can probably use a colorful sheet of paper with a graphic on it. You probably use a font, probably nicer calligraphy inside. You know, anything like that to really spice up. Use a nicer border, something appealing, right? Make the card 3D. It's really up to you, your design. Right, so let's look at this answer here. Now, I didn't have space to answer it in a complete sentence, but we're going to look at that. Right, so a suggestion to the company or a suggestion that the company can take, right, or a suggestion to the company to improve sales of the invitation card. They can add an attractive background. So maybe, you know, something traditional, something religious, right, according to what the customer might like, right? Or they can use colorful text or calligraphy, fancy font, that's what I mean there, and change the shape, this is the off, and shape and overall design of the card, right? So maybe a different shape, probably rectangular, circular, your design of the card and the borders itself, right? So the color before Dominique, that is what I meant when they offered that piece of information, right? They wanted you to use that information in order to get your answer. Now, we do have one more graphic to do before we move on to poetry. However, today, we will not be able to look at that graphic, right? As you know, we have creative writing coming up at 6 p.m. But before we go to creative writing today, I must share with you, as I usually do, right? Actually, it's at the bottom of the page. About our Edmodo class. So if you're joining us for the first time, or some of you parents, you haven't joined us yet, but your child is registered with Edmodo. Our Edmodo class is an educational online class, guys, right? It's really helpful. It's a great avenue for your child to communicate with other children about SEA, any subject regarding SEA, mathematics, ELA, or creative writing. So if they have a question that they would like to ask, probably a problem at school they got for homework that they are getting difficulty with, what they usually do, post it in the group. There's an open forum. Students usually take the initiative and help that child to answer the question or to understand the question better. Then Sir Ijaz or myself will look at the questions. If we get time, or if time permits, right, we really try to and confirm the answers on that question. Now, so to be a part of that great initiative, you can join the Edmodo class using this class code here, right? So you must enter the class code. It's on your screen. It's here for you. Also, you can look at that class code or get access to that on our See Results page on Facebook, right? So the information is there for you. And the instructions are simple for both parents and students to sign up. Of course, if you have any questions about registration, feel free to message us and we will reply on our Facebook page, right? Additionally, when the live has ended, so if you're joining us on Facebook and you would like to rewatch this video, you can do so as soon as the live has ended, right? Or if you choose to look at another video, probably you missed yesterday's episode and you want to look at that on Facebook, go through our videos and you will be able to select the videos by date. But even better, if you go on YouTube and you subscribe to our See Results page, the videos are there for you, labeled topic by topic, what we did for each episode since the inception of the program, right? So there are lots of avenues for you to explore with regards to getting information and rewatching videos and finding out anything that you wish about See Results, right? So, and of course, I must mention right here on IBN, Channel 8, we have replays of the videos every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? From the same 5 to 7 p.m. So please look out for that and get that get those videos or watch those videos if you miss them, right? It's really important, lots of important information and things only necessary and geared towards SEA. Now, this is not only for SEA students. While we do have SEA fast approaching, we do have a lot of standard 4 pupils and probably lower classes joining us as well. Really beneficial. So if you have siblings or cousins, neighbors, friends in school, right, invite them to watch along with you on C results every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a short pause. Join us back right here at 6 p.m. I'm going to rejoin you for creative writing. And as you know, later in creative writing, we have Sir Jazz join us as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta. Enjoy the real Fruta. Refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Canupia.
IBN can be viewed on the go now with the Airlink TV app for Google devices. Simply go to the Google Play Store, search for the Airlink TV app. Download the app, click on the link and fill out the form. The account activation will be emailed or texted to the user. It's safe as no credit card is needed. The first 30 days are free and you can subscribe and receive a box for your TV to stream the same content.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a special episode of Hibba's Bites. Today it's 15th of Ramadan and it's Wiladat Imam Hassan alayhi salam. For today's special episode, I'm going to be making rainbow cupcakes. You'll need a cake mix, cupcake cases, food coloring, a bowl, a whisk, and 4 small bowls. So let's get started. First, we're going to make the cake, so follow the instructions on the back. My cake mix is done, and now we're going to pour it into my 4 bowls. Now it's the fun part, mixing the colours. And now we're adding the yellow. And you don't need a lot. And now the red. And the green. And now I'm going to mix 2 colors to make orange. Now it's time to mix the colors in. Now our colors are done. We're going to put them into our cupcake cases. And now we're going to put the color green. And now they're ready for the oven. Put it in for about 12 minutes. Our cupcakes are ready and they smell so good. Let's see what they look like from inside. Wow, they look so pretty. I can't wait to try them after iftar.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results. I'm Ms. Naila, and now we have creative writing, right? So we just completed our ELA session, all right, lots of information given there, and now we are going for a full episode today with lots of tips for your, expository style writing, right? I almost said narrative style, but we are over with narrative style writing, right? So we looked at everything necessary, you know, to help you get prepared. Just in case on the day of essay you open that creative writing paper and you see a narrative topic, don't worry. Those of you who have been joining us from the very beginning, and those of you, of course, who go back and watch those videos, you will be prepared for your narrative style writing, right? So now what we're doing, we are getting you ready and prepared for expository style or report style writing. So we started looking at report last day, and today we will be continuing with that. So what we looked at last day was actually what a report is, right? And then we went on to transitional words. Now let's just recap what a report is all about, right? So if you're just joining us or you are having difficulty understanding, you know, what should I do in a report? You are given a topic, right? And a report is so fine-tuned, I will say, right? So much of don'ts rather than do's in a report that you must know the format inside out. Right, and we are going to go through that again at some point today to help you remember some of the things that we are looking for specifically or are not looking for in a report, right? So we know that a report is a document that is short, sharp, and specifically written for a particular audience, right, and for a specific purpose. Report writing is a formal style of writing, right? The style of writing must be adhered to and consistent throughout. And we're going to share some tips with you, right, to help you understand what is formal style of writing and how you can maintain that style throughout your expository piece. Right, last day we looked at transitions of, or for rather, report style writing. Now, in expository writing, there are specific transitional words and phrases that you can use and you cannot use. We looked at the ones that we can use that are specific for report writing. And yes, there are transitional words that are specific for report writing. Just as in the rubric that we are going to see shortly, there is an entire criterion dedicated just to transitions and things related to paragraphing and so on, right? So it is important that you know the transitions to use in your report writing, right? So you don't want to make any slips with that. Now, we looked at transitions of time, transitions to compare and to contrast, to emphasize a point, maybe to add information, to clarify something, to conclude, and to summarize or summarize, right? So that is actually 6 different types of transitions that you will need to use in your report writing, right? Maybe you have 1 or 2 there that you may not need to use, but it's always good that you have that extra information in your head just in case you need to pull it out, right? So the ones that we popularly use, probably time, add information, clarify, to conclude, summarize. Now, all are equally important, and you should know some from each, right? So make sure and familiarize yourself with the list of transition words for report writing. I cannot stress how important transition words are for your report, right? So here are some tips that we are going to share with you each time we do report writing. Reason being, in the classroom, we always tell students, for example, no dialogue, right? So you cannot use quotation marks, right? No direct speech in your report writing. And then the next day, we are going to see students again using direct speech in your writing. You cannot have a conversation in a report that's a formal tone, right? This is how you're going to maintain formal tone, by not using direct speech, right? So do not use direct speech. It is not allowed. They are not going to spare you. You are going to be marked down, right? So avoid that. Factual language only. When I say factual language, no opinions. Don't give your opinion about an incident. Don't give your opinions about anyone's feelings. And as I am on feelings, no feelings or descriptions of feelings as well, right? So report style writing is strictly formal, right? There are things, like I said, that you need to know that you cannot apply in report writing. Thirdly, transitional words used must be specific to reports, right? And if you missed that video when we did transition words last day, so last Thursday, right, I do advise you go back and get that video and rewatch all the information shared about transitional words. Length. Students should not overwrite, right? So I'm meaning that you don't have to write too much extra or give extra details or irrelevant details in a report. As I was saying last day, if your report is 3 paragraphs long or 4 paragraphs, that's fine, right? Don't worry about it. Even if it's just 3, once you have all the details necessary that the rubric requires, and I'm going to break that down for you using the rubric, right? And you're going to see what is required, then you are fine, you are set, and your report is completed, right? So don't worry about the length of your report. Of course, it cannot be 1 paragraph or 2, right? 3 minimum, 4 safe, right? And we actually had some more tips. I'm not seeing it here, right? But I will get that for you next day, where we had a couple more tips on report writing, some other things that you cannot do. And from the top of my head, I'm going to tell you that your punctuation, of course, you know that's important in report style writing. So be aware of capital letters, commas, full stops, you know, no use of quotation marks, right? So that's an important one there. No exclamatory marks and so on. Now you cannot describe, so no adjectives, right? So you cannot describe the wall, if the wall is green or red. Don't give us that information. No senses, right? So no sense of sight, feeling, touch, taste, hearing, right? None of that is allowed. And of course, since that is not allowed, figurative language also is unacceptable in report writing, right? We don't need that information there, right? And if I remember any as we go along, I'm going to share that with you, of course, right? So let's look at the rubric here, and this is what we have been doing. But let me tell you guys, this is the most important part. Now, this is the rubric that they use to mark you, right? They are looking at your report, the one that you have written. They are working alongside this rubric here, and this is how they are going to mark you. So do not think that it's unnecessary and you don't need to familiarize yourself. This is what you need to familiarize yourself with. Now, in this rubric here, you would notice, yes, we always point out the 6 achievement levels. So 5 being exemplary, right, which is what we always aim at, earning 5 marks in each one of the criterions given here, right? 0 here, which says unsatisfactory is the lowest mark that a child can earn. We are not gearing towards that. So 5, 4 being proficient, 3 progressing, 2 emerging, and 1 makes an attempt, right? So remember, the idea about this is to try to earn as much marks as we can. 20 is the maximum, 5 in each criterion, right? So be mindful of that, right? So your 4 criteria are content, language use, organization, grammar, mechanics. So last day we touched on language use a little bit, right? And not language use, sorry, but content. That's the first criterion in your rubric, right? So let me just recap for you what you must have in the content aspect of your expository style writing, right? So in your content of your expository piece, your report, this is what you are going to get 5 marks for. These are the things that they are looking for, right? So they're looking for relevant main ideas and supporting details, right? Again, notice it said relevant main ideas. Try not to give us any irrelevant details. That's going to mark you down, right? What happened from beginning to end? When we look at the sample piece, you're going to understand a little better what I mean from beginning to end. In content also, we must have the persons involved, first name and surname. Now, let me explain that a bit, right? So if, and I said this last day, and I'm going to say it again, and probably each time we do report writing, right? Because these are things that children slip with, and we don't want to chance it. So persons involved, first name and surname. Now, let me tell you, if you are introducing, right, a person for the first time in your report, for the first time in your report, what do? How do you introduce them? If it's the first time you are introducing them, you give the first name and the last name of the person. So Mr. John Abraham, right? If it's the second time you are mentioning Mr. John, so in your third paragraph, probably in the first paragraph you introduce them, in your third paragraph you want to say something about Mr. John Abraham, you can say Mr. John or Mr. Abraham. Notice you do not need to use the first name and the last name at the second mention. Only when you are introducing a new person, you give a first name and the last name, right? So if you introduce that person in your first paragraph, right, that was your principal perhaps, and you want to give something or tell us something about the fire officer, Miss Sally George, right? Even if that is in your second paragraph, what do you say? Miss Sally George, right? And lastly, in your last paragraph ending, you want to say something about her again, Miss Sally or Miss George. So each time that you introduce a new person, you must give the first name and the last name of that person. I hope that is really clear to you, right? And of course, we are not going to introduce persons in our final paragraph as no new ideas are introduced in the final paragraph or the summarizing or concluding rather to the conclusion of your writing, whether it's narrative or expository style, right? So also pay attention to that, right? Also what they're looking for, must give the location of the event or of what you are writing about, right? So whether it's a school, a park, probably the zoo, a sports day, wherever it is, give us the location, right? Date, proper date, and time. So again, in your content, this is what you must have in order to get 5 marks, right? Relevant main ideas and supporting details, your persons involved, location, date, time. Now, how it works, most of this information is given in your introduction paragraph, right? So in your introduction paragraph, you will have the persons involved, especially if it's an incident between two students, right? So you give me the full name of the two students. This report is about an incident that took place at IBN school, right, on the 25th of January, 2020, approximately 9 a.m. between probably Dominique Kublal and Nicholas. I'm not sure what Nicholas's last name is, right? So any one of those students, right? So you give the first name and the last name. So make sure you give me that of each new person that you introduce. Yeah? Okay. So here, last day we looked at about two paragraphs, introductory paragraphs, right? So these paragraphs are going to help you to understand the content aspect of the criteria. So in the content, we just looked at all the things that you must have, right? So let's look at this sample paragraph, first the topic, then the paragraph, introductory paragraph, and we are going to look and we are going to try to identify the things that they're asking for. So the persons, the location, date, time, and any relevant main ideas, right? So let's look at the topic here. So for example, you were given this topic to write on. Write a report on your class science group project, right? Include factual information on. So there's a clue. You can even underline that if you think you might forget, right? Remember, report style writing only deals with factual information, things that are true, things that happened, right? So place and persons involved, details about the project and what other groups did, the results of the project. So in your report, these are the things that you are focusing on. Those will be your main ideas, right? So try not to give us any extra or excess information. These are the things that they want specifically in a report. Remember, the purpose of a report is to give factual information about something that has happened, right? You stick to facts. So let's see this paragraph here, right? On Tuesday, 10th May, 2010, on Tuesday, 10th May, 2010, the Standard 4 class of Hope Government School completed a class science project. The project was held in the science laboratory from 8:30 in the morning to 12 o'clock at lunchtime. The class teacher, Mrs. Joy Prasad, was in charge of the activity and divided the class into groups of 5. Group A consisted of Amy Simpson, Chelsea Singh, Sean James, Richard Ramlogan, and Joshua Joseph, right? Now, I read that paragraph a little quickly only because it's time for us to take a break for the Maghrib Adhan, right? So when we come back, we're going to reread it and we're going to analyze it, looking for everything that is required in the content aspect of the rubric. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after this.
Contact Shiklisha Limited, 665-3336, or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. I'm Miss Nyla, and we are in our creative writing session. Right, so just before the break, we were looking at the rubric, so the expository style rubric, and we are currently, going through that rubric thoroughly. We are not leaving out anything, criterion by criterion. So here is a sample paragraph, right, an introductory paragraph of a report. Now before this, we had the topic, but what I want to show you, the content, right? So remember, 5 marks is awarded if you have all the relevant aspects of things that is needed for the content, right? So let's look at this, or reread this paragraph, and then we will see, right, what we have and what we don't have. On Tuesday, 10th May 2010, the Standard 4 class of Hope Government School completed a class science project. The project was held in the science laboratory from 8:30 in the morning to 12 o'clock at lunchtime. The class teacher, Mrs. Joy Prasad, was in charge of the activity and divided the class into groups of 5. Group A consisted of Amy Simpson, Chelsea Singh, Sean James, Richard Ramlogan, and Joshua Joseph. Right, so remember in your content, first thing, right, what is the main idea of this paragraph, right? So they're telling us about, or they're giving a report about a class project that was held. They gave us a date, right? They gave us time. Now you are seeing here that time is written or spelled out for us, right? I do believe that digital time can also work. Right, so instead of writing or spelling it out, you can use digital time, right? That is fine as well. Of Standard 4 class of Hope Government School. So we have the main idea, right? We have the date, we have the time, and location, right? We know that it is in school, and more specifically, we're in a school in the science lab, right? So we have all the important components necessary for this paragraph. Right, now to the bottom here, they start to give us a little bit of information about the groups. Remember, that was part of the topic, right? What they expected for you to write, right? Some information that you have to share. So here they started sharing that information with us. Now, we don't know how the rest of the report is going to unfold, and therefore we cannot mark, right, just this paragraph alone. We have to wait for the entire report. Use the rubric alongside the report, and then we can mark, right? What we wanted to do, the aim here was to point out the key aspects of the content as part of the rubric, right? So let's look at another topic here. You and your friends were playing a game of cricket after school, and a student got hurt. The principal asked you to write a report about the incident. Now, in this topic here, notice they did not tell you what they want, right? So you now have to use your information, previous knowledge about report writing, and deduce what is important here, right? So you and your friends were playing a game. We know the game is cricket. It's at school, right? So the location will be school, and the student got hurt, right? A student, right? So be mindful of that. The principal is asking you to write a report about the incident, right? So you can take this report any way that you choose, of course, take into the criteria, right? So let's see here. At 4:30 p.m. on Friday, 10th March 2017, an incident occurred while a group of boys from Mr. Sean Abraham's Standard 4 class were playing a hardball cricket match in the school's playfield. The game became competitive, and one of the players, Danny Figaro, was struck with the ball. Danny was knocked to the ground, bringing the game to an end. So before we look at it critically in terms of punctuation and grammatical errors and all of that, let's just analyze what we are looking for, right? So the main idea here, right, the idea of this paragraph, writing a report, to highlight an incident that took place after school, right? We know what they were doing. They were playing hardball cricket. And where were they playing? In the school's playfield, right? Pay attention to this error here. I'm not going to spell it out for you just yet, right? Time is given, a date is given. So, yes, this paragraph looks fine where it gives us the information needed, but there are some other things that you might be focusing on, such as grammatical errors, spelling, probably not spelling, right, but grammatical errors and punctuation errors, right? So be mindful of that. And as we go along, just as I said, using the rubric, you're going to better understand how we will be looking or how critically we will be looking at your report. But for now, we are just looking at the introduction paragraph until we get to that a little later on, right? And we have a third topic here, right? So notice the reason I'm doing some of these topics, it's a bit different, right? So some of the ones that we might be accustomed to, probably an incident in the school, incident in the cafe, incident at lunch, incident in the playfield, incident in the classroom, all of those, right? So I'm just trying to show you a variety, how you can use the same information, not same information rather, the same format, and you can input it or use it according to the topic given, right? So you must be able to apply knowledge or transfer knowledge, right? So a bushfire occurred along a countryside road. Write a report about the incident. This topic is not very clear, right? They don't give you a lot, they don't give lots of information about what they want, anything like that, right? Just as the first topic, you know, told us what they were looking for, right? So all we know is a bushfire, where it's taking place at the countryside, right? So they are leaving that up to you. So let's look at this one. At 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, 15 January 2018, Mr. Prasad was taking an evening stroll through Todd's Road, Karapo, when he suddenly observed that the bushes along the roadway were on fire. The area was quite rural, and a small wooden house was in the vicinity of the fire. He was unsure whether the occupants of the house were aware of the dangerous fire, so he decided to stop to inform them. However, no one seemed to be at home, which caused Mr. Prasad to become worried. The wind was blowing in the direction of the house, and the fire was getting closer and closer. Right. As I was reading this paragraph here, I noticed what I failed to mention, right, which is also a part of the content, right? We have to look at and pay attention to when you are introducing a person, first name and last name, right? And as I read that here, that will be my first point. We said Mr. Prasad, right? So before I explain it to you all or break it down, what are you thinking after reading this paragraph, right? Does this paragraph fit the criteria necessary to earn 5 marks, right? Is it formal tone or formal style of writing, the type of writing necessary for report writing? And this is what a lot of students are having difficulty with, right? They are having difficulty with, you know, going from a narrative where they are allowed to use descriptions for everything, right? For emotions, for character, for setting, all of those things, right? And now that you cannot use description. Here we have quite a lot of description, right? So quite rural and small wooden house, right? Dangerous fire, he worried, so feelings here, right? So all of those things are not allowed. So this is not the ideal paragraph, right? So I showed you what you can do, and this is what not to do, right? Although, yes, the time is given, time, date, where is it? So Todd's Road, Karapo, I'm assuming, right? That's in the countryside. So I'm telling you all of this here, this information that they are giving us, right? So while some of it is relevant, some of it is irrelevant, right? And that is what they are paying attention to. Because if you present such a paragraph, will you be awarded your full 5 marks, right? Is this a style that you should be given for a report? And the answer to that is no, right? So be very careful not to give us something like this. I just want to point out to you here, look at this line. He was unsure whether the occupants, right? Opinion. Is opinion allowed in report style writing? Remember, one of the tips given factual information. This is what a report is based on, only facts, right? No opinion. And the wind was blowing in the direction of the house, right? Who's to say the wind was blowing in the direction of the house, right? So all of those things are unnecessary. Be very mindful of that. And as we continue to look at paragraphs, do's and don'ts, I hope that you have, get a fair idea of what is expected from you and what is not expected from you, right? This is really important. And I will tell the parents, report writing is a bit challenging, right? But students, not to say you cannot, you will not be able to master it. Yes, you can, right? You just have to practice the format, follow the tips that we are giving you, and put it into use. Now, the only way that you are going to be or become proficient at this is only through practice, right? Now, it's a little difficult for us on the Edmodo app, right, for us to give an entire essay or an entire report each week to mark. Now, that is our aim. We do hope that we can do that in the future. As of now, it's really difficult. So we have quite a number of submissions, which we are happy for. But what I'm saying is really time-consuming to sit and probably mark over 100 essays one by one and to be able to give you feedback that you can work with, right? So right now on the Edmodo class, the assignment for this week is actually based on narrative style writing, which we completed a little while ago. So we are now getting the opportunity to give you an essay to write. So this week's assignment on Edmodo actually is to write the second part of your essay, right? So I'm mentioning that because last week we saw that some students summarized their essay into one paragraph. Please do not do that. Read instructions carefully, just as you have to read your topic carefully for SCA, right? So to determine whether it's a narrative or a rubric or what they're looking for, the guidelines that they're giving you, right? What to expect. So all of those things are necessary. Just as that with Edmodo, you have to practice reading your instructions, right? That is really going to make the difference here, right? So we are now on to the second criterion there in language use, right? But we will not be able to move on with that aspect of the rubric today because, as you know, Sejaz is going to be joining us shortly to share or highlight some of your work, and I do know that a lot of students look forward to seeing their work here. Remember, all the work that we share with you are written by students. They are students' pieces. Also, it's not to highlight those who are performing really well and those who are not performing as they should, right? We want everyone to learn from this. This is a learning experience, right? So if it's a really good piece, take from it, what is expected from you. And if it's a piece that needs improvement, we are going to help you to improve on that piece, right? So it's only positive criticism on the show, right? So I do hope that everyone, submit your pieces and look out for them. And talking about that, I do have to take a break. And when we come back, Sejaz is going to join us for that aspect of the show. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with Sejaz.
Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to C Results on IBN TV 8. All right, I am Sir Ijaz, and every Tuesday I'm given the opportunity to read some of your creative writing submissions. All right, so in the previous weeks that we've been on the air so far, we have focused on the narrative writing aspect of it, and we've really tried to sharpen your skills with just single paragraph submissions dealing with a different element of narrative writing, which you are really supposed to try to combine when you're writing your piece, should you get a narrative writing selection for the SEA exam, right? We looked at a whole bunch of different things, from types of sentences and how to formulate a basic paragraph into figurative language, into transition words, you name it, all right? We basically looked at all the various elements that you have to be cognizant of and to draw from when you are writing your narrative writing pieces. So, you know, we get quite a number of submissions every week, and now we really want to put you to the test in terms of writing an entire essay. And as Ms. Naila was just, you know, explaining to you all, in deference to writing an entire essay all at once, we're basically giving you a topic and you're writing one paragraph at a time over probably 3 to 4 weeks, while Ms. Naila covers the expository writing theory. And then after that, you will be writing for us maybe some expository assignments as well. All right, so we began with the first paragraph, and I'm going to give you the scenario that the students had to write on. And this is the first time that we are attempting to get them to write something in totality. All right, but we are beginning with the introductory paragraph for this particular exercise. So what were the instructions? And of course, pay particular attention when you are submitting your work. I just want to say that those of you who missed out on submitting the first paragraph, which was due on Friday at 11:59 p.m., we are allowing you, if you missed out on it, in the second submission where you should have submitted your second paragraph, you can include the first and second paragraphs all together, right? Because sometimes, you know, a week goes by and some students who are really, who have been with us and been keeping up with the work for one reason or the other, they weren't able to for 1 week. So don't worry, we won't penalize you for that. So it's no worries. If you did not submit the first paragraph in this essay, as we said, you have until Friday at 11:59 p.m. of this week to submit paragraphs 1 and 2. And if you have already done your first paragraph, you are expected only to submit the second paragraph, all right? At the end of the whole experience, we will put it all together. And we hope that Ms. Naila can take some complete essays and go through, again, the entire narrative writing rubric with you for 1 or 2 examples, all right, rather than just the sample pieces that you would have seen over the past weeks. We'll see an actual entire essay from you, the viewers, all right? So that's very exciting. So what was the instruction for this first paragraph, all right? It says that over the next few weeks, you will be writing a story 1 paragraph at a time. And the scenario is that you were with your father standing in line to pay for your groceries at a popular supermarket. Suddenly, the fire alarm went off. Everyone looked around nervously. Write a story describing what happened and how the situation ended. And we were very clear in asking you to write only the introductory paragraph, right? And that was due Friday at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so it might just be that some of you are in the habit or were in the habit of submitting these standalone paragraphs for us. That not all, not even the majority, but a significant number of students, you know, they basically sent in an entire story condensed into 1 paragraph. So if you know you are guilty of that, again, we will facilitate you by allowing you to submit paragraphs 1 and 2 on Friday, okay? So remember, we are just dealing with those first 2 paragraphs, and we did give you some pointers in the instructions for the second paragraph, you know, some hints on where to take it from the first paragraph that you already did. Okay, so let's look now. We're going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say, because some of it was quite well done. Some of it we'll look at, you know, those condensed paragraphs that some of you submitted, and perhaps, you know, show you that how you can expand upon it in the future submissions. And then we actually had some really strange ones as well that we are going to talk about. And of course, the work that is not up to standard, we will never name you on the program, all right? So don't worry, it's all constructive criticism. So let's begin by reading one of the submissions that we got. All right, it was a regular Saturday afternoon. My dad and I were at Extra Food Supermarket shopping for some necessary items for our pantry. We strolled our shopping cart from aisle to aisle, searching for the grocery items on our list. After strolling down numerous aisles, we were finally in line, ready to cash for our groceries when the most unexpected thing happened. As we were about to place our items on the conveyor belt, a shrill beep, beep pierced through the rumbling sound of voices that filled the air. I stood motionless as I noticed the bewildered faces of the shoppers surrounding me. As my body regained life, I began to look around frantically when I observed raging flames engulfing the food buffet section, and thick gray smoke filled the air. I heard a multitude of voices chanting, "Fire, fire, run." Mass pandemonium broke out as the shoppers bolted towards the exit all at once, faster than the speed of light in an effort to escape the impending doom. Suddenly, I felt a hand seize my arm forcefully, causing me to snap out of the daze I had fallen into. My dad had taken hold of me as he navigated his way through the unruly crowd. We shared the same goal, survival. All right, so this was done by Sebastian Eccles, and there are a few things that I want to say. All right, so of course, this is a bit lengthy for just the introductory paragraph. This is probably the first two paragraphs of his essay, in all fairness. All right, and what you want to realize, or what we can draw from this that is very positive, is that Sebastian took the time to really paint a picture of the scenario, all right, of the setting. So in your introductory paragraphs, you want to do things like, start creating your setting. Of course, the setting can change if the story moves from place to place, but it has to be happening somewhere, all right? And he also spoke about characters, himself and his father, and he even described some of the characters that are there in the background, also there within the grocery, all right? And he actually gave some context as to why they were visiting the grocery. They went to get the items that were missing from their pantry and so on. And it was very believable, all right? So that's one thing that, unless you're writing something that's really, fantasy style, all right, this particular scenario really is something that could happen. So it was nice to see Sebastian utilizing those, all of those tools that we've been working on over the few weeks that we've been here, or the couple months that we've been here on the program, and coming up with this. So you'd notice that not only did he give really the setting and introduce the characters, there's also here what Ms. Nyla would have taught you about called rising action, all right? So that actually is more what we wanted to see for this week's program, for this week's submission actually, as you start to write your second paragraph. So you all out there viewing, I included this one first so that you'll have an idea. Most of you basically gave us something about the setting in your first paragraph, and of course we are really limited. We are limited to the grocery setting here, but there's so much that you can say about a grocery, about a crowded grocery, about being in the line, right? It is creative writing at the end of the day. Okay, so you don't just have to, copy and paste from the scenario that we gave. You can basically alter it in the way that makes it very enticing to the reader as they embark upon this story with you. Okay, so Sebastian here basically gave us, a bit more than we were asking for, but he can expand upon this rising action here in this second paragraph now. And, as he said here, basically the alarm went off, he saw flames and smoke and so on. His dad caught him, he was in a daze. All of these things, very powerful use of the language and drawing upon all of those nice descriptive language devices and so on. It's a very nice model for us to continue along, all right? So remember, if you didn't submit your first paragraph, that introductory paragraph, and you are submitting this week, you're also submitting the second paragraph and the introduction. Try to spend some time building the setting and some introducing your characters. And in the second paragraph, you want to get into that rising action, okay? You probably won't want to go all the way to the climax of the story as yet. So there's a lot that can happen before you get to that climax. All right, remember it's a fire in the building, in the grocery. So use as many creative ways of describing that particular situation as you can, right? Remember also we looked at dialogue and we looked at dialogue tags. So you can include dialogue as well. You can include figurative language as necessary. Okay, all your similes, metaphors, onomatopoeias. We saw the beep beep here in this particular paragraph, all right? And of course, when we are done streaming today, and when we've also uploaded this video later on onto YouTube within the next couple of days, you can have a look back at this particular paragraph. And of course, we want you to be original, right? But this is just because it led into the second paragraph. Basically, it's a nice way for you to get what it is we are trying to achieve here, all right? We don't want an entire essay all at once because it's a lot to mark in a very short window of time. It's due Friday, 11:59 p.m. And of course, we have to have everything marked by Monday when we do our weekly class report, all right? So we've broken it down paragraph by paragraph, and in that way, you'll be writing your essay over a period of weeks. And as we said, Ms. Nyla will continue to teach you about the expository writing in the meantime. But you have all of this content that we've covered on the narrative writing, which is available to you again under the video tabs in our Facebook page, as well as on our YouTube channel. All of the narrative writing videos have long been posted, so you can refer to all of them and use them to your advantage, all right? So let's look at another paragraph. This one is more of a paragraph, by itself. And this one was submitted by Jonathan Sinanan. So let's see what he says. So my heart was beating painfully fast and banging against my chest. Screams filled the atmosphere as the lights went out. At the JTA supermarket located C3 Mall Current, my dad and I were standing in line to cash our groceries when suddenly the fire alarm went off. So pardon me there for my onomatopoeia, right? We heard a loud crack, 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 and the atrocious scent of burnt wires filled the air, right? There was a cloud of smoke surrounding the area. Everyone began to panic except for my dad, who was more alert than a venomous snake. All right, so this is one way to do your introduction in terms of, okay, it's not very, just focusing on describing the environment, but we are jumping basically straight into the action, right? But we are aware of the setting here and the characters that are involved. Okay, and as we like to say, you may notice one or two subject-verb agreement things off there, one or two minor grammatical errors, but we're really emphasizing here now the storytelling aspect of it and, trying to use those different tools to better your writing, okay? So we saw a lot of very colorful language here, right? So especially in that last line there, you notice that everyone began to panic. So if we can just zoom back in there on the piece, right? Everyone began to panic except for my dad, who was more alert than a venomous snake. All right, so, likening his father there to a snake perhaps looking for its prey, it will be on the alert. We're seeing there the crack, 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 and the bring and so on, which are onomatopoeia, which, by the way, don't have to be in quotation marks because they are not direct speech, all right? And yes, so his heart was beating painfully fast and banging against my chest and so on. So we are seeing here all of those elements that we've been looking at over the past few weeks, all right? So that's very well done, Jonathan Sinanan, and this is one way to do it. It really will be an action-packed story because it's a fire that you're escaping from, so create the setting in the, well, not the middle, but, right there as the moment begins, all right? So this will probably make for some very interesting reading as we carry along. And of course, yes, although the action, quote unquote, has started, there can still be more in terms of rising action within Jonathan's second paragraph. So we do look forward to seeing what he comes up with, right? And all of you, of course. And again, if you didn't submit paragraph 1, we are permitting you to do paragraphs 1 and 2 for this Friday. All right, so let's have a look at another paragraph here by Swarit Vadula. Okay, so on Saturday, 15 July 2019 at 2 p.m., my father, who had black hair and a dark complexion, and I were on our way to Schwanwes, a popular grocery store. All right, so immediately here, now you're going to see that actually there's a lot of good content here in this paragraph, but it begins reading kind of like an expository piece, all right, with a particular date and a time and so on, all right? So we were wondering a little bit, well, is this really what we were looking for? So, of course, creating a setting is important, as we said, for your introduction and introducing the characters. So Swarit here is doing that, all right? But it doesn't need to be so, accurate or factual as you would in an expository writing. It's not wrong necessarily, but remember, you are trying to convince the examiner that you are aware of the differences here between the narrative and the expository. So try not to, make it a little bit difficult to discern or to show that maybe you are yourself not 100% clear, but we'll read on and see why this was really well done, right? So they are on their way to Schwanwes, a popular grocery store. Okay, so we'll zoom in there on the paragraph again. Says, my mother, with brown hair and a fair complexion, was making macaroni and cheese, but ran out of cheese and butter and had sent us to the grocery store to purchase more. All right, so this here is basically in setting up not only the setting, but the motivation for being there, right, at the scene, right? So while waiting in line, a sudden deafening ring blared out and lasted for approximately 20 seconds. Unfortunately, it was not a car alarm, but something much worse than that. It was emitting from a fire alarm. Everyone looked around nervously. All right, so notice that Swarit here did introduce several characters, himself, his father, and his mother. He named, he gave a particular name of the grocery that they are at and even a time that they are there. All of those things, although it need not be structured in the manner of an expository essay, it does, or a report, it does, bring all of those elements of setting and time and characters into view. Perhaps some more could have been done on the, what's taking place in the grocery, maybe some other characters, maybe some unique features about the grocery, just to show that you are capable of creating that setting better, all right? But overall, this was good. And then we see here already that Swarit is beginning with the rising action, all right? So it's not quite like Jonathan's one where it's, from the get, they are basically in the mix, all right? And things are already starting to fall apart. Here we do have some context and we do have some more description of character, all right? But we also want to make sure that when we're describing our characters, we're building our characters, we do it, quite naturally, all right? So that you don't always have to, every time you introduce a character, give their complexion and their hair color and those things, all right? But of course, we applaud the effort of Swarit, and the way that the overall paragraph was structured was pretty well done, okay? So we do commend you for that, Swarit, and thank you for your contribution. So what do we have next? I want to look at perhaps one that wasn't so well done because we are running short on time, all right? Ms. Nyla might read a couple more on Thursday, right, when we have math and creative writing again. So let's look at this one. It says that one bright sunny Saturday morning, the sun peeked through the clouds, all right? The breeze gently blew the trees as they swayed side to side. Okay, my father and I arrived at the Massey Store supermarket. We had a long list of groceries to buy, and I knew that it would take a while. So, what do you think might be wrong with this paragraph here? So there's an attempt here to tell us something about the setting, right, to create a setting. But our setting for this scenario, we want to focus on the grocery setting itself. So, telling us about it being a sunny Saturday morning, the sun peeking through the clouds and, you know, the breeze gently blowing the trees and so on, right? What kind of imagery is that creating in the mind of the reader, right? What type of setting is that painting for the examiner, right? And then you suddenly switch to the supermarket, all right? So yes, we know that you basically learn off some kind of formulaic ways to begin essays as you progress through your way in school, all right? But given the fact that the scenario is really limited to one place, all right? Of course, it can progress elsewhere, but it begins in a grocery more or less. You don't want to spend all of that time describing, you know, the outside or what was happening around you before you really got there, unless it is really relevant to the story, all right? So that one here is something that could have been, you know, done a little bit differently, right? You don't want to create, you know, the imagery of outdoors and the sun and the trees swaying and so on, because it's not really that relevant in this scenario, all right? So with that said, you know, we are out of time for today, and we hope to see you again on Thursday as we continue with mathematics and creative writing. And do submit all of the assignments for this week on our Edmodo page, right? The code has gone up several times in the program, and you can find it on our cover page area on our Facebook results page, as well as in the About section. All right, so do join us there and do our assignments, our quizzes, and hopefully it will be to your benefit, all right, as we quickly, I should say, approach the date for our SEA exam 2020. I have been Sir Ijaz. Do have a pleasant evening, and assalamu alaikum.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate-free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited, 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show. My name is Dr. Waha Jabbar and this is Healthy Habits, the show which talks about food, nutrition, skin, fitness and so much more. On today's show, our personal trainer is going to be showing us how to do leg workouts. We will then be speaking to Sister Sumaya Kaku, who's going to talk about fair trade and how we can be more conscious consumers. We then have Sister Kothar, who's going to be talking to us about dieting versus healthy eating. Which one is better? Later on in the show, on Skin Talk, Sister Surah will be talking about combination skin. We will then be meeting Dr. Yadullah, who's going to be speaking about hypertension and its implication to our lives. Finally, on Eat Well, Vian is going to be showing us how to make a delicious peach smoothie. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Mustafa. Welcome to the weekly workout. Today we're going to do another leg session and we're just going to do a quick warm-up. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to do is a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to have this leg at 90 degrees, the other leg at 90 degrees, and opposite hand, opposite leg. This hand is going to come over and just kind of lean to the sides, and you feel a nice stretch running down that hip flexor. This is a good one to do, especially before squats, any type of squats. So you're going to hold for about 10 to 15. Okay, and we'll change. So again, 90 degrees, and opposite. And I feel a nice big stretch coming down there. Okay, 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. And now from here, we're gonna do another kind of dynamic stretch, which is very relevant to the squat, which is a squat to stand. So squat, and then you wanna try and lengthen out your legs so you feel a stretch in the hamstring. Come back down into the squat. And I can really feel that big time in the back of the legs. Go 2 more. 1 more.